Hi, everyone. In this video, we're going to answer the question, what is the truth about central bank digital currencies? CBDCs have been getting a lot of attention lately from various governments and central banks around the world. But what exactly are they? How do they work? And what does it mean for you? Let's take a closer look at some key points about CBDCs. First, let's start with the basics. A central bank digital currency is a digital form of money issued by a central bank that can be used as a medium of exchange. In other words, it's a digital version of fiat currency like the US dollar or the euro. The main difference between a CBDC and traditional fiat currency is that a CBDC is stored and transacted electronically rather than in physical form. This means that transactions can be processed more quickly and efficiently, and that the government has more control over the money supply. Now, it's important to note that not all countries are moving towards issuing their own CBDCs just yet. As of 2023, only a few countries such as Nigeria, Bahamas, Eastern Caribbean, Cambodia, and China have launched retail CBDCs, which are designed for use by individual consumers. Many other countries, including the United States, European Union, Japan, and India, are actively researching and developing their own CBDCs and may launch them in the near future. One of the main reasons that governments and central banks are interested in issuing CBDCs is because it can make transactions faster, cheaper, and more efficient. With a CBDC, transactions can be processed electronically in a matter of seconds rather than taking days to clear like traditional paper checks. This could save businesses and consumers a significant amount of time and money. Additionally, a CBDC could help reduce the cost of processing transactions, which could lead to lower fees for consumers. Another reason for the interest in CBDCs is that they can help promote financial inclusion by providing access to financial services for people who don't have a bank account. By allowing people to hold and transact digital currency on their phones, governments could provide a safe and easy way for them to manage their finances. Of course, there are also concerns about the potential impact of CBDCs on privacy and civil liberties. Some worrying that a CBDC could allow the government to track every transaction an individual makes, which could lead to a loss of privacy. Others worrying that the government could use a CBDC to control the flow of money and potentially seize funds from people who are not complying with government policies. It's important to note that these are just concerns and not necessarily facts. Many governments and central banks are working to address these concerns and have stated that they will protect the privacy of individuals when developing their CBDC systems. It is also worth noting that the development of CBDCs is still in its early stages, and many details about how they would work in practice are still being worked out. So while it's possible that some of these concerns may be valid, it's also possible that they are overblown. While the technology behind CBDCs is still being developed, there are already a number of pilot programs being run around the world to test the feasibility and effectiveness of this new form of currency. For example, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank has been running a pilot program since 2021, which has been used to process over $100 million in transactions. Similarly, the Central Bank of Brazil has been running a pilot program since 2022, which has been used to distribute emergency funds to citizens during the COVID-19 pandemic. These pilot programs have been able to demonstrate the potential benefits of CBDCs, such as faster and cheaper transactions. At the same time, they have also allowed regulators to identify potential risks and develop mitigation strategies. So what does this mean for you? Well, if you live in a country that is piloting or planning to launch a CBDC, you may have the opportunity to participate in the development process and provide feedback to your government. You may also want to stay up to date on the progress of CBDC development in your country, as it could have a significant impact on the way you manage your finances in the future. Even if you don't live in a country that is piloting or planning to launch a CBDC, it is still worth staying informed about this new form of currency as it could become more common in the future. And speaking of the future, one of the biggest questions about CBDCs is how they will impact the role of commercial banks. With a CBDC, individuals could potentially hold their money directly with the central bank rather than through a commercial bank. This could reduce the need for commercial banks as intermediaries in transactions and could lead to a decline in the number of banks. However, it is also possible that commercial banks will continue to play a role even after the introduction of a CBDC, as they could offer additional services such as lending and investment products. Ultimately, the impact of a CBDC on commercial banks will depend on how the system is designed and implemented. Another big question about CBDCs is how they will impact the value of cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are digital assets that are not controlled by any government or central bank. They use cryptography to secure transactions and control the creation of new units. This makes them somewhat similar to CBDCs, but also somewhat different. The introduction of a CBDC could potentially impact the value of cryptocurrencies, as investors may prefer the stability of a government-backed digital currency over a decentralized one. However, it is also possible that cryptocurrencies will continue to thrive even with the introduction of a CBDC, as they could offer more freedom and flexibility to users. Again, the impact of a CBDC on cryptocurrencies will depend on how the system is designed and implemented. One of the biggest advantages of cryptocurrencies is their decentralization, meaning that they are not controlled by any government or central bank. This makes them somewhat resistant to censorship and allows users to transact without the need for a third-party intermediary. However, a CBDC is by definition centralized, meaning that it is controlled by the government or a central bank. This could potentially lead to more censorship and control over transactions. Of course, it's possible that the government will not abuse this power, but it is also possible that they could use it to target individuals or businesses that they don't like. Ultimately, the level of censorship and control will depend on how the system is designed and implemented. Now, it is important to remember that there are different types of CBDCs, and that each country may implement a CBDC in a different way. Some CBDCs may be more centralized than others, and some may be more resistant to censorship and control. Only time will tell how things will actually play out. Another concern with CBDCs is that they could potentially be hacked or used to spread malware. As with any digital system, there is always the risk of cyber attacks. However, it is worth noting that the banking industry is already well versed in cybersecurity and has robust systems in place to protect against attacks. A CBDC would likely be subject to the same level of security as other digital payment systems. Additionally, the government would likely invest heavily in cybersecurity to ensure that the system is safe and secure. In conclusion, CBDCs are a new and rapidly developing area of finance and technology. They have the potential to bring a lot of benefits, such as faster and cheaper transactions, but they also come with a lot of challenges and risks. It is important to stay up to date on the latest developments and to be aware of both the potential benefits and risks. As with any new technology, only time will tell how things will actually play out. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video if you found it useful. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Have a great day.